they want to downsize, they want to get rid of their stuff, but that's not always easy. And when you live in a 180 square foot Airstream, you're gonna have to get rid of some stuff. In this video, 5 different tips on how to downsize your life. So I'm at the Goodwill Center that's right by our house, and probably dumping for the 20th time in our 2-year quest to purge our lives so we can go full-time in our Airstream. Well, you would think after 2 years we would have gotten rid of all or most of the stuff we don't need or want. But for some reason we hold on to things that we keep saying, well, we might, and then 2 years later we don't use, or we don't want, or we look at the box and we say, what were we saving that for again? So tip number 1, if you don't use it after 6 months, get rid of it. It's probably not that important. And how do you separate the things that you have an emotional attachment to versus the things that you just don't use? Well, that's going to be tip number 2. Well, often you run into things that you just can't get rid of. So I have some really old Christmas stuff from when I was a very young person. So does Ariane. And I have some real sentimental things that my mom had made for Christmas that had been in my family for a long time. So what do you do with those? We are not going to carry those in the Airstream. They get used once a year. Maybe they're up for a couple weeks as decorations, but for the most part, you don't want those to get ruined while you're traveling or you're living full-time in your RV. So right there, that answers a question. Someone or something is going to have to store your personal items. So how do you downsize from personal items once you know they're not coming with you? Well, then it's a methodical decision of what is really sentimental to where you draw the line in the sand of, I'm keeping this because now it's become a family heirloom. That is our benchmark. If it meets a family heirloom status, old photo albums, but photographs that have to be of sentimental value. So my mom put together these really beautiful photo albums when I was a baby. We're gonna keep that. But like as far as like regular Christmas ornaments or pictures I took, you know, like 20 years ago with my friends and stuff like that, quite frankly, the best way to do that is to put them in a scanner, digitize all those photographs, and put them up in the cloud, like on Amazon S3 or some sort of cloud-based service. If you want to take the time to scan all those photographs, we're not bringing any of those with us. We scanned all of those. All of our photographs, even the family heirloom photographs, are scanned digitally. That way we have them forever. But I do keep the photo albums, and they are going to be stored, and they are going to be safe and secure. Step 3. Everything should have a category attached to it. Clothing, outdoor gear, kitchen gear, everything that you are looking to bring into your RV or into a tiny home or into a tiny space should all have a category attached to it. So when we are planning to go backpacking in the van, that's our backpacking van. Why would I have backpacking gear in the Airstream? So all of it has been waterproofed, water sealed, protected, and all of our backpacking gear goes in the van while we tow. Of course, along with that is going to be tow gear and things that we need to get out right away. So that's going to be outdoor gear, outdoor camping, outdoor boondocking, everything outdoor is in the van. We put everything in bins. So every bin has a name on it, it's labeled, and we know exactly where it is and what's in the bin. That's why we're not really kind of like opening up bins and looking at it, what's in there, and having a guessing game. We know exactly what's in it, where it is, where it goes, how it's packed, and what it's going to be used for. And that way, when the bin gets full, the bin is full, and we don't put anything more else in the bin. That is our limit. When a bin gets full, we are done with that category in that specific bin. Step 4. You want to practice downsizing, living minimal. It doesn't happen overnight. You're just not going to wake up one morning and say, hey, let's downsize and live minimal, and we're going to live in this really tiny camper. It takes practice. So one of the things that Ariane and I did was every time we moved, we would move into a smaller place. But if you can't do that, I would recommend figuring out where you're going to go and live and what the square footage is of that particular place. For our Airstream, it was 180 square foot. 180 square feet of space isn't a lot of living space. So one of the things that we did was we taped off our apartment to approximately 180 square feet, and we moved everything that we were going to live in that space. Kitchen, stove, if we had one, closet, clothes, everything. And we practiced living in that space, and that will tell you right away how much stuff you have to get rid of. And we were surprised at, once we moved everything into 180 square foot little boundary, how much stuff we still had to get rid of. And that is one of the really big helpful ways that we learned how to downsize, because if it didn't fit in 180 square feet area, well, we had to purge more. Of course, once you set your boundaries and you start living in that space, and you soon realize that you do have to get rid of more stuff and more stuff and more stuff, then it becomes strategically thinking about your stuff. So how do you start strategically thinking about your stuff? Well, it's how many pieces of clothing do you really need? One of the things that Ariane and I did was that we would take out clothing that would only last us for a week. And then to see, when do we do our laundry? When do we need to do our laundry? Do we really need 18 t-shirts? Do we really need 6, 7, 8 pair of pants? So we started weaning down the clothes that we really like, that we wear all the time, compared to all the clothes that we wear maybe like once a year for an event, or maybe for special dinners or outings. And then we kind of pared down from there to say, you know what, we can do laundry a little bit more, and we can strategically think about our clothing as far as what we like to wear, what we wear all the time, and what we rarely wear. Which really leads me to step 5. And this is the hardest one. Don't pack for the what if. Don't keep the what if stuff, because the what if stuff is all the stuff that is going to create useless space. If you pack for the what if, there's an endless amount of scenarios that you're going to come up with for the what if. So we pack for what we need, not for the what if. For example, what if I get a flat tire? Well, that's a real issue on the road because your home is on wheels. So yeah, of course, we carry gear to be able to change a flat tire and a spare tire. But do we carry 8 spare tires? No. But you could get multiple flats at the same time. So instead of carrying 8 spare tires, we carry 1 for the Airstream and 1 for the van. That's it. So that's kind of how we look at all the other stuff that we have. Is it what if, or is it just the what if scenario. Like, I don't carry 2 tents when I go backpacking, but what if my tent ripped? So there's realistic what ifs, and then there's kind of like what ifs that let fear and uncertainty grasp your mind to where you're packing for everything. And that's the hardest thing about downsizing, is looking at that gear or looking at that piece of equipment or looking at that whatever in that box and saying, what if? And if that case happens and you just really can't get rid of it, then maybe that is something that you put in storage, that you keep in your storage box. And so if you're on the road and you really did need that piece of gear, then really kind of ask yourself, was it critical that I needed that piece of gear to get us out of that situation? Was it critical that I had it on me, or did someone else have it? Or was I able to get it when I called AAA service or breaking down on the road or something like that? Was it critical that I needed that piece of gear for that particular scenario? Remember, downsizing is a lifestyle. It's not a one-time thing. You're constantly going through what you use, what you don't use, what you can purge versus what you need. And our lifestyle is to do more with less, to really live our lives as minimal as we can. It doesn't happen overnight. It does take practice. So look at it as more of a long-term goal than a short-term goal. So anyway, I hope this video helped you guys a little bit about how we downsize and how we put everything in categories. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and you're always welcome to post a question on any of our videos, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of them for you. So anyway, we'll see you when we see you. We'll see you guys later. Bye.